Go. Yeah, we got Kevin Slow Jammin James, the most rarest voice in the industry. Hip hop, oldies. He is doing it. He's with Cadillacc Music on Dash Radio Monday through Friday, 4 to 9 p.m. Also has his Slow Jam app off of iTunes and Google that runs 24/7 oldies. Let's get into that. Let's talk about that a little bit.
That was a great plug. I couldn't have identified it any better than you just did. Thank you. Because people sometimes say Cadillacc Radio, but it's Cadillacc Music.
Right. Well, because I follow you.
Cadillacc has two C's on the end. We can talk about that later.
Why does it have two C's on the end, and why doesn't music have two C's on the end?
Now you're going to ask me. The final C is for Crip.
Right. I got that. I understood. But why does music have CK?
That's Snoop. I have to call him and ask him.
We're going to have to call Snoop and ask him about this one. All right. How did you get involved with the whole radio scene, and what was the first start for you? Like, what was your big start?
You mean in radio in general?
Right. What got you into the music? Like, I know you choose oldies. Who was your inspiration in the music scene?
I growing up in Philadelphia, which is a great, music city. As a kid, I just loved the mid-tempo songs, the ones you'd sing along with, that had the lyrics. So that was ingrained in me, even though everybody else was hip hop, this and that. I really just enjoyed that music that you could sing along with. Then ended up in the Army. And when I was finishing up my Army tour, I took broadcasting classes. And that was the impetus to get me into radio. I started in a small town in Frederick, Maryland. Then I worked my way to DC radio. And, a lot of people think, oh, wow, music, you just go and play the music that you want. But radio stations have formats. So when you get a job, especially in the beginning, it could be anything. So I played rock and roll, I played jazz, but mostly the stuff that I play now is what I do play. So I'm very fortunate to still be in radio and have the autonomy over what I play. And like I said, not many DJs get that opportunity. Do you know why?
Why is that?
Because radio stations have a playlist. So their playlist, I'm going to try to get myself into camera here.
I can see you're good.
Okay. Ever since I've been in radio, it's picked out music. And the death knell to DJs selecting their own music was computers. When they finally got into radio studios, music directors, program directors said, we'll just load the music and commercials, everything on the computer. So the DJ has less to do. But in that particular instance, they put all the music on there. And most stations I've worked at, you can't move anything around. You just play it the way it's on the computer. It's been that way a long time. A real long time. Because I think the average person thinks the DJ is picking out the music. Which brings another subject up. What about requests? When people call a radio station, what do they say? Can you play a song for me? The DJ says, yes. Then they make the request. And the DJ says, I'll try and get it on for you. That's a lie. Because they're looking at a printed sheet or a computer screen. The music's already on there. And when I was in San Diego, there was a period of time I did not pick up my music. So this is kind of funny. People would call and they said, do you take a request? I go, yep. But I said, I can't play them. They go, what do you mean? I said, I'm not going to tell you what other DJs do because they're going to say, I'll try and get it on for you, which is a lie. So I tell people the truth. And 9 times out of 10, they go, thank you for telling me the truth. So, and that's why I've lasted so long in this business. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to anybody, and maybe a listener or two would go like, heck with you. But then they would find out I was telling them the truth. The truth is the truth. And that when you're truthful with people, they're always going to be by your side because they're getting honesty and integrity, which is not necessarily synonymous with DJs, those terms. But when I worked in San Diego, I had there were 3 stations in the complex, or the 3 studios. And Raymond T., who worked in another studio, started doing what I did, telling the people the truth. And it goes a long way because smoke screens have been part of the radio for a long, long time. And that's not my modus operandi. Anyway, kept me going.
What was your big inspiration? Like, I know I know you, like, who told you to play this music? That's what I'm trying to find out. Like, this is.
Well, the first couple of jobs in radio, I actually worked for a rock station. So I kind of like rock and roll.
Me too.
And still, I had some autonomy over what I played. But for a long time now, whether it was WKYS in Washington, D.C., where I started the Slow Jam, the original Slow Jam, working with Donnie Simpson, to my travels to the beat in L.A., to San Diego, I've had the autonomy to play not what I want, but what I thought was right. But that was based on listener request. You call for something, and that's your favorite song. Who am I to say, oh, no, that's not good. That's your song. So once again, I'm very fortunate to be in that position to pick out the music. And I don't know of many people in standardized radio or even structured or streaming radio has that ability to select anything.
Which station was one of your favorite stations working at out of all 3 from Washington, LA to San Diego?
Well, WKYS was a juggernaut. I mean, that was in DC is one of the best stations ever. But I would have to say the beat, 92.3 the beat, which became 100.3 the beat. When they, we can get into that if you want to, but anyway, they had to change where they were on the dial based on a sale of the station. Because that station had it all. It was, Eazy-E worked there. You had everybody come through there. And to me, that might be the greatest station ever. They had, John London in the house party, Diana Steele, Theo. This is back in the beginning days of the beat. Believe it or not, the original station, KKBT, was, I think in the late 80s, was like a semi-pop station. And the beat didn't take on its persona until Keith Naftali became program director, who came down from San Francisco and brought most of his DJs down to the beat, and they started calling it True to the Street. So instead of being an urban contemporary, which they called a lot of stations, it became more of a rap and hip hop station, which at that time, they let everybody go. Whole new staff, but for some reason, I found out later, they kept me. And they said that I probably would not keep my job because they were a rap and hip hop station. I said, okay. And they said, we're doing that because we trust you. We know your reputation. You're not going to badmouth the station on your way out, but you're probably not going to have a job here. So I said, okay. And that continued for a while, even when they had the first meeting, when they became the true beat. By the way, that's the first beat station in the United States. Then beat stations, cropped up all over the world. And the program director did not invite me to the meeting because he said, you're not going to be here probably. But somehow a week went by, 2 weeks went by. I go by Keith's office. He goes, I don't have an answer for you yet, but you're still here. So maybe like a month later, I walk by his office. He called me in. I go, this is it. When you're called into the office and sit down, I go like, this is the end. He goes, I don't know what you do, but I like it. So I'm going to make your show a feature show. So they kept my show. And it was one day a week. Then Eazy-E, who was working at the beat with the Ruthless Radio Show, went to Keith and said, because Eazy-E was notoriously really involved in the community. He knew the people, he knew the streets. And he said, you need Kevin on the radio more. So ostensibly, Eazy-E extended my career, and I'm still here. But it was really Eazy-E that kept it going because there was no other station back then that I could have worked for in LA, and they gave me, carte blanche to go anywhere to try and get a job, but there was no other place that fit my style or I fit their style. And then I stayed at the beat.
Could you elaborate on Eazy-E a little bit with us? What was it like? What was a couple conversations that stood out to you with him?
He had an office at the beat. We used to be in Hollywood on Yucca Street. And a quaint little building. I loved it there. It was in the middle of a drug-infested neighborhood. Like, I just like being a part of a neighborhood is basically part of your listening audience. Later on, they moved to Beverly Hills. I didn't feel comfortable because I go, that's not you can't look out the window and see your audience in Beverly Hills, but so well, I'm going to back the story up a little bit. I moved to Los Angeles in 1990. The day before I moved, I was watching TV. One of those nighttime news shows might have been Ted Koppel, Nightline, whatever it was. They were interviewing Eazy-E. I was amazed at what I saw on my TV and what I heard. NWA, cop killers, and all of that. I'm going, who is this idiot? I said, I don't like this guy. So I moved to Los Angeles. I quit radio. I came to do voiceover work in Los Angeles. So I'll cut that story short, but I ended up on the radio at the beat. If maybe another time, or if our conversation works to that, I could say how that happened, how I ended up at the beat. And first time I met him, I said, E, I got to tell you a story. And I told him what I just told you. I didn't like you, talking about killing cops, I said, but you see, when I came to LA, then I realized this is a whole different backdrop. Be careful wearing blue or red. It was pretty tough back in those days, because you had your Bloods and your Crips. And I told him, I said, I learned LA. I took my time to find out what the fabric of Los Angeles was, especially the street part. And I told him, I said, I didn't like you. And I said, here I am. He said, I can't believe you're telling me that story. I said, I'm telling you that story because many times, and in this case, first impressions are wrong. I could not have been more wrong, but I was based on some kind of emotion watching TV. You're just the opposite. You're great. And he had an office there, and we would talk. And he was very open. He goes, Kevin, you know how I make all the money? Why other rappers and people don't like me? I said, I don't know why that is. He said, because I learned that, it wasn't the jewelry, the cars, and the houses that are thrown at you. He said, that's just to lure you in. At the end of the day, those things will go away. He said, I learned about writing and publishing, owning the rights to music. And he was on that tip. He goes, so that's why, hey, I make a lot of money, and that's why I'm so disliked. But we had talks like that. He actually said to me one day, can you record a drop for me? Easy does it. I went home and I did it and I took it to him. But that was too little, too late. He passed away. And it was so sudden how he passed away from his disease. He just he looked 100% healthy to me. I didn't see any signs of deterioration. But I'd have to ask some of the people back then if what I did made it on to any of his albums. I don't know. But I went home and recorded it on a digital audio tape and I took it to him. But we had those conversations that were near and dear to me because the fact that he would walk in to the program director's office and said, I'm part of the streets. I know what's going on. People want to hear this guy. So once again, he saved my career. And it became a couple days a week, and I filled in during their show called Night Beat. So I became part of the fabric of the beat.
Ruthless record. When I think of Slow Jam, I think of Ruthless, the 90s. I think of Death Row. I think of all that Dog Pound game. You got the Dog Pound hat on. Like, you were the staple.
Yeah. Yeah. So Death Row. This will go to how I met Snoop. I was friends with Martin Lawrence. I would go to the taping of the Martin Show. Well, one day, and this was right around the holidays, after the taping, they invited, the people, friends and family up on stage to a little Christmas party, a little bit of food right on the stage. So I look over off the stage. I see a silhouette of a man sitting in a chair. It wasn't part of this activity. He was just there by himself. And me being me, because I'm very inward but outgoing at the same time. That's a whole another story. But I walked over to this man and I said, hey, and I went, oh, Snoop. The day before, he had been on the Arsenio Hall show. One of the most brilliant interviews I've ever seen in my life. Controversial, but I fell in love with that man just by what he had to say. And there I am, looking at him, sitting on a chair, in a director's chair, away from all the action. I said, I know you're just chilling. I just wanted to say hi. He said, do I know you? I said, no, you don't know me. He says, oh yeah, you're Kevin Slow Jam James. So he recognized my voice from the beat, because the beat was, really everybody's favorite station. He goes, man, you got some shit I need. I go, what do you need? He said, I need music. He started rattling off songs. I said, I got it. I went home that night and made a digital audio tape. Are you familiar with DATs? They used to actually, not reel to reels, but they used to master music even on digital audio tape. Anyway, I made him a digital audio tape, and you could put a lot on there, and I put a lot of music on there. The songs he asked for, and other songs that I thought he might like. So we had exchanged phone numbers.
Was he asking for just oldies, or was he asking for other stuff?
Oldies, no rap, just R&B, Lenny Williams, Cause I Love You, and songs like that. I called him the next day. I said, I got your music together. I said, where can I bring it to you? And he said, can I bring it to the station? And I said, hold on, Snoop, I just met you. I'm not asking anything in return. I'll go anywhere and bring it to you because, once again, I don't want you to think that there's something on my end that I want or need. I'm just doing this because you're a music lover and I like you. He says, no, I'd like to come to the station. I said, okay. So I went to the station. I lived like within a mile of the station. And I went down there and I talked to Keith Naftali, the program director, and said, hey, can I bring Snoop in tonight? And he looked at me like, Snoop Dogg? I said, I don't know any other one. Yeah, Snoop Dogg. He goes, well, how do you know him? I said, I met him. We've been trying to get him here forever. How are you going to do that? I said, he'll just be here. So sure enough, fashionably late, that's him. He got there like 10 o'clock at night. And I told him, I said, Snoop, I hope you know that they're going to ask you stuff. They'll ask you to do drops. They'll ask you to go on the radio. And I didn't want that to be something that I was going to get or the station to get in return. Excuse me. Because I just wanted to do the music for you. He says, no, it's okay. It really is. Oh. So he comes to the station. Sure enough, they asked him to go on the radio. And Lisa Canning used to do a show called Night Beat and went on air with her. Then it got a little crazy. Somebody broke in through the fortress. I call it the fortress, the gate, big, heavy security gate. This man broke in, came into the station. His name was Suge Knight.
Shit.
And Suge was not happy. He said, Snoop, let me talk to you. They went into a little room adjacent to the studio. I heard a lot of yelling and screaming. I went, oh no, what have I done? Suge comes out, Snoop comes out. I said, are you okay? He said, nah, that's Suge just being Suge. So everything was okay. Then I don't know if it was that night, but maybe it was another night, but I think it was that night. They asked him to do drops for the DJs. Hey, it's Snoop Dogg. Da, da, da. So he's doing the drops, and they gave him a list of the DJs. And then he came to mine, and he was doing it rap style. Blah, 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 blah. I said, hold on, Snoop, I do a slow jam show. I'm not a hip hop DJ. He says, look who's trying to direct me, Kevin James. He goes, I like it. He liked the fact that I interrupted him because, then he did just beautiful, beautiful drops for me. But that was my introduction to Snoop. One day to the next, he's in the station, and we became friends. And during that time, he was wearing jewelry, not like the jewelry he's wearing today. He had a piece of jewelry on his ankle because he was going through his, yeah. And he just said, Kevin, my friends, my allies, or whoever, they're dropping off like flies. He said, they don't want to be around me because they think I'm going away. I said, I'm here to tell you, I ain't going away. I said, I don't know what you did, what you do, but all that. You're my friend. I stick by you. Whatever the result is, I'm there. He said, thank you. And turns out I was living in Toluca Lake, California. And then he ended up renting an apartment not far from where I live. So I could walk over to his apartment. And I had some interesting times there. But everybody was always so respectful and kind to me. I just became part of the hip hop culture just by being a regular guy, plus the music I was playing and do play, that's where a lot of the great samples came from. You know, every song has some kind of a melody hook, and a lot of those are those classic songs or the rarer songs. So he loved it when I made music for him because he would pick out a song that nobody really knew, but had really good potential to be a musical hook in a song. So that's we stayed friends all those years. Even though I moved to Florida, I moved all around, worked in San Diego. But let's get to San Diego.
Yeah.
I wasn't happy there. They got to the point where they were. Let me just adjust this. Okay. Uh, they eventually started to tell me what to play, and I go, no, that's not good. Just like divine intervention, I get a call from Snoop. He says, "Do you want to come to LA?" I go, "Okay." he, he starts he starts saying that Dash Radio, Cadillac music. I go, back then, it was 2015. I go, I don't know what you're talking about. Dash, Cadillac, I don't know what that means. But yeah. And then 2 weeks later, I gave my 2 weeks notice, honored my commitment at Magic 92.5, moved to LA. My program director said, "What are you doing? You make a decent salary here. What are you getting paid to go up there?" I go, "I have no idea.
Yeah.
It could be nothing. I don't know. But I'm following my heart. And I'm not saying no to Snoop Dogg." Well, as it turns out, back in those days, Dash was new. They were volunteers. I didn't get paid. Then one day when I was at his compound, you know, you're familiar with the name of the compound, right?
Right. In Inglewood.
That's his studios, and basically that's where he lives. Yeah. And I said, "I'm having a tough time because I don't get paid by Dash." So he says, "Hold on. You'll have a call in 15 minutes. 15 minutes. I got a call. I was on the payroll. Snoop. Then eventually he went to Dash and said, "Pay this man." So that's how that happened. But I just took a leap of faith and moved to LA because of my friendship with Snoop. And when I met him was back in, I think, 93. So that's a long, long history.
Yeah, 93 to working for him in 2015, man. That's family already.
Yeah. Uh, and over that period of time, when I first met him, and then when I was in San Diego, I never had talked to him. A lot of years had passed, but he could have hired anybody in the world to work for his Cadillac music. And I was the first one he selected.
I wonder if he has like any major hit records where you gave him one of those songs and he just has that hit and it was from you. Did he ever mention any of that to you? Like he pulled up one of your songs and it just blew him up out of the water?
Well, here's a story for you. I called him one day. I said, "Snoop, you know the song by the Ohio Players, I Want to Be Free?" In the beginning, they'll shoop, shoop, I want to be free, shoop, shoop. I said, "Why can't that be Snoop, Snoop, I want to be free, Snoop, Snoop?" Down the road, guess what happened? Snoop, Snoop. He did a song. And I called him one day. I said, "That was brilliant how you did that." He goes, "You like that, huh?" I said, "Where'd you get that idea?" He goes, "I don't remember." I said, "Think hard. Where did you get that idea?" He goes, "Oh, that was you." uh, but he calls me. He called me just the other night. I played a song by Tomorrow's Promise called "You're Sweet, You're Fine, My Everything." So he called me for a reason. He had never heard it before, but I would look out for that sometime soon because he's brilliant. He's not just an aficionado of rap music and R&B. He can tell you about Frank Sinatra, Lionel Hampton. He, His genre knowledge is unbelievable. It really is.
Every time he's live, I hear him playing like oldies music in the background. He's not even listening to hip hop or anything like that.
No, no, he loves the stuff. Not say just I play, but I do play the rare stuff, and plus I have once again the freedom to play anything I want, so I can stretch it out really good. Behind me here, the computer. See, you can see that's called Megaseg. I have 6,200 songs, so I have a lot of music to pick from.
That's
And
another question I wanted to ask you. Do you run all this yourself?
yeah,
You are very tech savvy, my friend.
yeah. Most people use Serato
Right.
to play music. This thing is called Megaseg. The hardest part was converting all my music from the past, whether it was vinyl or CD, converting that to files. Now, most stations are, I can't say that categorically, but MP3 is a very poor file. Quality is very bad. All my music I converted to iTunes lossless encoder, which is, as the name entails, you don't lose any quality at all. It's CD quality. So every song I play is of CD quality. It takes up a lot of space because that file is bigger, but I got an iMac. It can handle it. But so not only the quality of the music, but the way it's recorded, it's very important to me. You got to get it the best quality that there is.
Right. So how do you feel about Apple and Spotify? Because I know they crushed the sound. I know they crushed the whole song. So you're not getting full quality when you hear it off of their apps.
No, I think Spotify a lot of times is MP3, uh, and yeah, I know because I have friends that play some songs from Spotify, and I go, that doesn't sound good, you know. But consider Spotify, I mean, millions of songs, so how much capacity can you take up? And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people, even as I say this right now, don't know MP3 from MP4. People don't know. But if you got a discerning ear like you do, you know when it sounds right and not. And another thing is, through these years, I don't think young people understand the term stereo because they have these Bluetooth boxes, right? And speakers. They're mono. So you're not getting stereo separation. When you put on headphones and listen to this and hopefully other stations, you hear all kinds of stuff going on in your headphones. You might hear a piano in this ear and a drum in this ear. It's amazing. But uh, I try to explain to a lot of young people the difference between monaural and stereo, and where you really can tell headphones.
What's your favorite pair of headphones?
You know, I don't have a very expensive pair of headphones. What do I have here? Hold on. I don't even know what brand this is. Hold on.
What am I using right here? Some DT770s. I love these headphones.
I don't know what are those.
You got the 990s. Those are a step up from mine. I love those headphones. These are good headphones. The DTs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I use.
Yeah, to everybody tuning in now, this is Kevin Slow Jammin James. He is the highest rating DJ in the 90s, and he also is still relevant with Snoop Dogg's Cadillacc music. It is on Dash Radio Monday through Friday, 4 to 9 p.m. He also has the Slow Jam app on Dash Radio or iTunes and Google, and it's running 24/7, as you can see behind him right now playing.
Oh, by the way, Cadillac Music is Sunday through Friday with no show on Saturday.
Oh, there it is.
Because the original Slow Jam, I created the Slow Jam, by the way, the original Slow Jam, and I have the trademark. So if you're using the name Slow Jam, I'm coming after you. As soon as I hang up, I'm coming over. Anyway, um, so I created that name in 1983 based on the song by Midnight Star, Slow Jam, from No Parking on the Dance Floor. So the same year, when Donnie Simpson, my program director at WKYS, said, let's name your show. Why is it Kevin James? I said, name it. Give it a name. And he said, give me 10 names, and we'll pick one of the 10 names as the name of your show. I said, okay. I make a list, but I got stuck. I couldn't think of a 10th. So way back when the Washington Wizards were known as the Washington Bullets, because of the controversy of the name Bullets, they changed to Wizards. But anyway, they had a guy 7'6" named Manute Bol, whose son plays in the NBA. Anyway, I say that for a reason. I show the list to Donnie, and he goes, I like what you have up here, slow jams. You want to call it slow jams, slow jams? I said, it's called Slow Jam. Then he goes down the rest of the list. He goes, yeah, that's the best one. He goes, what is this number 10, Manute Bol show? I said, that's a joke. He goes, I don't get the joke. I said, Donnie, I needed a 10th. I just threw anything on there. He goes, I don't get it. I go, well, you'll never get it. But anyway, we settled on Slow Jam. Down the road, which wasn't too far down the road, WKYS acquired the trademark for Slow Jam. I didn't know that. I said, I want that trademark. So I went to the trademark office, physically went there. I think they were in Northern Virginia, and tried to get it. And they said, no, it's already been taken. And they opened a drawer, and it showed tapes of my show, a T-shirt that I had designed, because you have to show physical evidence, to get a trademark. So WKYS had acquired the trademark. Eventually, they let it slip away. You have a trademark, I think, for 10 years, something like that.
Right.
Well, through some changes, et cetera, I got the trademark.
Thank God. Kevin Slice. I actually seen that before I interviewed my wife. She's like, oh, he's trademark. He owns Slow Jam. That's his.
Yeah. And that's another thing that, going back to Eazy-E, own your stuff. Take ownership. Otherwise, it could fly away.
Took me 10 to 15 years to understand that. Like right now, I understand contracts, everything like that. Like it's crazy. Everyone wants their piece. And then like you said, you could get a sneak attack like that. Show up and somebody already owns your stuff.
Yeah. Same. Thank God I was smart enough when domains came out. I took slowjam.com. And that was when people didn't even know what a domain was, right? And then it's probably worth some money today. Make me an offer. How much?
We're going to make it an NFT, and it's going to quadruple.
Yeah.
How about that? We'll put it up for some cryptocurrency.
I'm going to be honest with you. I read, and I need to read more. I don't know. NFT, am I buying something that's in the air? I don't understand it, but I know it's very profitable.
Yeah, you don't want to buy it. You want to sell it. That's like where it's at right now. Like you don't know what you're buying. You're not buying like a JPEG. They're not giving you too much, So you want to sell. You want to sell your valuables right now until it really comes into play.
Yeah, I know Snoop's son Cordell is big in that. He's making lots of money.
Wow. So you got to get him in here to talk about it.
Yeah, I need to pick his brain on that and say, hey, cut me in on that action. How do I do that? But I'm busy enough, putting the music in for the app, doing the show 6 nights a week. I got my plate full, but
you are the most active person in business. You have the most rarest voice in the game. Do you know how many features you have in the hip hop industry?
Oh, when you say like drops and stuff like that.
Drops.
Yeah. Okay, let me just You have some time here, or are we almost done?
You take your time. The world is yours right now. I'm grateful to have this
Yeah.
interview.
Snoop, not too long after I met him, called me. And when Snoop calls you, it's usually his time, 3 a.m., 4 a.m. And he called me. He says, Kevin, what you doing? I said, just cleaning the house. He goes, really? I said, no, I'm sleeping like most normal people. I'm sleeping. He's, that didn't even phase him. He goes, do you have a copy of Shirley Jones, Do You Get Enough Love on CD? I go, I do. Can you bring it to Can-Am Studios in Tarzana? I said, okay. I jumped in the car and I go over to Can-Am Studios. Now, a little history lesson here. Can-Am Studios was rented by Suge Knight, but he named it Death Row Records. But actually, it was Can-Am Studios. I think they're still in existence. So I take the CD over there, and that was my first time to Death Row Records. Then I ended up going there a lot. Almost every drop I did. For those that don't know what a drop is, it's just a little spoken part, that's on an album in the middle, towards the end, whatever. And the first one I did was for the Dog Pound on the track Smooth. And I'm sitting in the studio. I'm not sure that was Can-Am, by the way. I'm sitting in the studio. I had never been to a studio before. I'm sitting there, and it's loud. There's dogs. There's people everywhere, and smoke. I don't know where all that smoke came from, but I'm going like, what is this? So I'm just trying to maintain. I'm sitting there just like this. Snoop says, KJ. I went, yeah. He said, why don't you step up to the mic? They had a mic just out in the open, not in a room, but a mic. He goes, why don't you go up to that mic and say something over this song? I said, what song? He goes, keep in mind, as he's talking and I'm asking questions, he's getting more and more irritated. I said, what song? He goes, the one that's playing. I said, what's it called? He goes, it's called Smooth. So I go up to the mic. I said, what do you want me to say? He goes, that's it. You're a DJ. Say something. The way he said it, it kind of scared me. So the first thing that came out of my mouth was, hi, I'm Kevin Slow Jam James from 92.3 The Beat. Man, this shit sounds smooth. Get me an application. I'm switching up. I want to work for W Balls. He goes, okay. I said, okay, what? He goes, you're done. That's exactly what ended up on the album. Just one take, something off the top of my head. Now, I'll never forget, months later, it took months for that album to come out because that was the first one that the recording industry started putting restrictions, like it had to be not G-rated, whatever ratings, Right. So they figured that all out. It took a few months before the Dog Pound dog food album to come out. I walk in a radio station one day. Theo, who was a huge personality in Los Angeles. Hey, Kevin, heard you on the Dog Pound album. I said, what? What? I forgot I had done it. He played it for me. I go, that's me. I said that. So that was my first drop. They ended up doing that for Nate Dogg, one of my favorite people, by the way. Corrupt. I'm on like 3 Snoop albums. I forget almost all these drops that I've done, but I was just honored. I never got paid because that's my way of giving back to the industry and to the music business. So I didn't ask for, people to this day say, can you do a drop for me? How much? I go, well, if I didn't charge Snoop and all those people back in the day, why would I charge you? No, you're trying to come up and make it. It's not, no, I'll just do it. And I'm trying to think all those albums I'm on. There's a lot.
What was it like working? I mean, I just want to ask a question because we don't have him here today. Rest in peace, Nate Dogg. that is Dog Pound. When I hear his voice, I always think Nate Dogg. That was one of the only people I really wanted to work with in the music industry was Nate Dogg because he raps and sings, and that's what I like to do myself.
Yeah, they call him the Hook King. You know, the King of Hooks. Uh, Amazing individual, and you know, I protected my music library to the point where nobody could get my music. I'm not going to print out a list except for one person. I printed out my whole music library and gave it to Nate Dogg. That's how much I appreciated him and cared about him. So he had a copy of that. And I forget what songs I'm on. Dirty Hose Draws on the his 2 CD set. I mean, it's a shame. You would think I would remember all these skits I did. But Nate Dogg was probably the most memorable for me because he was such a good guy. To this day, he was R&B and rap, but he, you know, him on Regulate, all those songs. Oh, one of the smoothest deliveries I've ever heard in my life.
So, did you ever get to sit in on a studio session with him?
No, not that I remember, but I was around him a lot. Whether it was at Can-Am Studios, and that's where one day I walked up and the guy standing next to me was Tupac, and you know, because Death Row, what a lineup they had, you know, back from the beginning, you know. I remember Tupac took his hat off and gave it to me, but I gave it away years later. I go, why did I do that?
What's one of your most favorite possessions you have at your home right now that you got from back in the day?
I have a shirt that Snoop signed way back when, maybe '94. He signed the shirt, so that probably that one. It's in my closet somewhere. I never wear it, but it's there. But you know, history is an interesting thing. We could be part of history today, but we're not going to know it because we're just presenting stuff. And time will bring out whether it's historical or whatever. Back then, who knew that, you know, that Death Row and all those artists uh, was going to be history?
So you felt it was just like Snoop Dogg that was just the biggest thing happening at the time, and they were just all around. Just you didn't realize what they were going to make of themselves as well.
Well, Snoop is a different story. I
Right.
used to live up in the Hollywood Hills, right underneath the Hollywood sign. I had like a little concrete basement kind of unit. I paid $600 a month, but Snoop would come up there. So we're standing there, and I just, you know, I didn't have any cameras, didn't have cell phones back then to take pictures, but we're standing there looking up. There's the Hollywood sign. And I said to Snoop, I said, I just met you, but there's something really, really special about you. You talk a different language, snizzle, dizzle, drizzle, but that's you. I said, but I see much more to you than a rapper. I think down the road, you could be anything you want to be, a comedian, movie, TV star, you know, whatever. Pretty prophetic, right?
I
I
was
said, you could
about
be,
to say you like basically laid out his whole blueprint for him in the '90s.
yeah. I said, you know, you have all that. You could be in politics. You could be anything you want because I said, I'm just learning now. You're brilliant. And then maybe some people can't see that because of what they're seeing, you know. Uh, and he was very, you know, shy back then, you know, kind of a little bit timid, but we had great conversations. One day he calls me, 4 o'clock in the morning, and he goes, Kevin, you know that song by The Whispers, Seems Like I Gotta Do Wrong? I said, yeah. He said, is that me? Referring to him. Yes, it is. I said, because you're at that stage in your career where maybe people, they want to be like you, but they can't. So if they can't reach your level, maybe they're trying to bring you down to their level. So what they're going to try and do is find something wrong once again to somehow elevate themselves. So I said, but don't worry about them, because when they're observing you and looking for wrong, they're going to see a lot of right. They're going to see all the right. So it's not a bad thing. He goes, thank you. He hung up, and I couldn't go back to sleep.
I wouldn't have been able to either. Man, you have changed so much lives and inspired so many people. I remember when I was starting off, I worked with a cat named Slip Capone. Do you remember him?
Yeah,
Yeah, he had a drop from you, and I was
yeah.
chilling
I
with.
did a drop for her. Yeah,
Yeah, and he was so excited about it, and I didn't know who you were. No disrespect, I'm young, I'm younger, so he put me up on you. He told me who Kevin Slow Jam and James was. He was like, "Man, this guy's been doing this since back in the days," and he's like, he was so excited to have your drop, and I just wanted to put that in there that he was very highly of you.
well, I appreciate that because once again, at that time, I didn't know who he was. I didn't know who a lot of people were. I never turned anybody down. I was honored for somebody to ask me to do a drop or a cut in. It was an honor.
Yeah, man, he passed away recently, and I'm glad to
Yeah,
have
I
that.
saw that.
Yeah, so
Yeah. So once again, you brought those things up. There's so many, Dog Pound, Corrupt. There's a track on the Dogfather where Snoop is talking to a kid, and it's called When I Grow Up. And I'm on the beginning. You got much love from the Dog Pound and the LBC, which is part of a drop I did for a singer named South Central. So that's on there. But the interesting thing of that little snippet, the song underneath it, very rare. It's called Baby Come Home, South Central. So he picked that part off of that song and put that on there.
that's sick.
Yeah. It's, you know, uh, as I tell these stories, not that I get teary eyed, but I go like, how did this happen? I came from the East Coast to do voiceover and not do radio. And somehow I got immersed in radio and part of the hip hop culture. None of the R&B acts or artists got a hold of me. Like almost instantaneously, I was, embraced by the people that we're talking about. And then it took me a while and I realized, oh, this is the music they want to hear because they can use it, you know, and they paid for it. I mean, Snoop pays for those little segments, whatever, 10 seconds long or whatever it is. And when I first started hearing rap, I go like, that's not right. But the more I saw that happen, the more I said, this is brilliant. How could you hear this and all of a sudden in your mind put that into this? Amazing.
That's what amazes me about hip hop is they could take the music that you're playing, the oldies, and they could flip it into a beat. Like I've already made records where they're EPs off of all
Yeah.
samples, and they've never even been caught. Like I've never been told to take it down or nothing because the producer made it so hidden inside of the beat that it's our own creation.
Yeah. Music is the greatest communicator in the world, other than the spoken word. Music speaks to everybody. Sometimes when you can't convey a message verbally, put a song on and go, oh, I see what you're saying.
I want to get back into some people that you broke out. I was catching an interview the other day about Alicia Keys on your podcast.
Uh,
How did you come across that? How did you? That whole story blew me away. Can you elaborate to the audience?
Yeah, there was a guy, a record rep named Ant, and I didn't get serviced much by record labels for some reason. Why wouldn't they? Because I could play their music. But anyway, he dropped off a CD uh, for an upcoming label called, was it J Records, I think, by Clive Davis. I'm trying to remember the people behind it, but he brought me this CD. It was great. On there was Luther Vandross. I think Pink was on there.
Hmm.
Back then you knew Luther, but some of the artists you didn't know who they were because they were exposing new talent. Well, buried deep into that CD was this song called "Fallen." I said, I like this song. I said, who is this? Well, I read it. I wasn't even sure how to say her name. I go, I guess it's Alicia. So I go to the beat my next shift on the weekend, and I played it. And immediately the phones went crazy. And that never really ever happened on the first time playing a song. I went, whoa. So I called Ant the next day. I said, hey, I'm playing a song off the CD. Alicia Keys. He goes, why her? We're not even promoting her. I said, I'm just telling you. The phones went off the hook. So they released it, Fallen. So I guess, and I think she would have made it anyway, of course. But I guess I was the jump start, to that.
Man, that's huge. I had to get that one out
And
there for the ladies.
yeah, are you familiar with Butch Cassidy?
Butch Cassidy, the hook. He's another hook god.
That's Nate Dogg's cousin.
Oh, is he really?
Okay, here's the story on him. You got time, right? If you have to
I
cut
got
me
all
off,
the time. No,
okay,
I don't want to. You cut me off. This is your
okay,
show
that's it.
tonight.
I'm done. No, so
Appreciate your
uh,
time.
there was a guy. He did security, I think, for Nate or one of our people we're talking about. He said, "I have somebody, and they want you to hear their music." I said, "Okay." His name is Danny Butch Means. I said, "Okay." Sent me a CD. I lived in Venice Beach at that time on the boardwalk, and I miss that place. Anyway, Danny calls me and said, "Can I come over? I wanted to talk to you about my music." I said, "Sure, come on over." Walks in, I go like, "Wow, he's like 6'4", looks like a rapper." But I said, "Man, what I heard on this album was, very much R&B."
Right.
And I said, "This particular track I really like, You Tonight." He goes, "You like that?" I said, "I love that. Can I play it?" He goes, "Are you kidding me? You're going to play it on the beat?" I said, "Yeah, I don't work anywhere else." So I go to the beat, and I said, "Well, my show ended at 5 in the morning." I said, "This is something different. Let me play it right as I'm going off." So like 10 minutes till 5 a.m., I play You Tonight by Danny Butch Means. Song ends. I'm getting ready to pack up my headphones. I had Sony's, by the way, back then. And the hotline rings. It's Snoop Dogg. "What did you just play?" I said, "Danny Butch Means." He goes, "Is that Nate Dogg's cousin?" I said, "I think it is." He goes, "I need to talk to him." That was a Saturday night going into a Sunday morning. He said, "Have him call me." I got up early on Sunday anyway because I watch NFL. I said, "Let me call Danny real quick because I wanted to get that message to him about Snoop Dogg." I said, "Hey, Snoop heard your song. He wants to talk to you." He goes, "Are you serious? How am I going to reach Snoop Dogg?" I said, "I'm going to give you his phone number. Does that work?" He said, yeah. He goes, yeah. So 3 days later, on a Wednesday, Danny Butch Means was in the studio as part of the East Siders. It happened that quick. It took a little while, but Snoop said, "Nah, Danny Butch Means no," because he actually sang on some Nate Dogg songs, and it was listed as Danny Butch Means. So Snoop gave him the name Butch Cassidy. That's the story of Butch Cassidy.
So did he get to? So he was coached by Nate Dogg then, right?
I never talked too much to Butch or about his cousin. How much they interacted, I don't know. But I know that he's on some of the songs I got on my computer, and it's Nate Dogg and Danny Butch Means. So obviously they sang together.
I wonder if Nate Dogg was too busy to introduce him to Snoop or what. Like I don't get how he didn't get introduced to Nate Dogg and it came down to you doing it. That's crazy.
Hold on, let's call Butch right now and see. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, y'all, we're getting Butch Cassidy. This is a West Coast icon. I'd put him up in the top 4 or 5 singers, rappers in the hook community in West Coast.
Oh, no question.
Like Cocaine, Butch Cassidy, Nate Dogg. You know,
Butch Cassidy.
Kevin Slow Jam and James, y'all.
Can you hear this ringing?
I could hear it. Yep.
Please leave your message.
Hey, Butch, pick up. Butch. It's Kevin. I needed to talk to you. Hey, if you get the message in the next few minutes, call me. It's your best friend, Kevin James. Okay.
To replay your message, press 1.
Okay, we'll see if he calls back. But anyway, I need to ask him that.
That is a crazy situation because I know Nate Dogg was just singing hooks left and right. He was sending verses. Yeah. Slip told me that he sold a hook for like $60,000 to somebody down south and like blew their whole career up. I can't remember who it was. It was I think it was Pharoah Monch. He sent a hook to Pharoah Monch. I can't remember what this. Oh no. Man, scared to hustle and clothes. He sold that song for like 60,000 and it blew them up down there. So he was just hot at that time. So I don't know if, and then Butch Cassidy was hot around that time too. So I don't know how he even, now I know.
He's one of the most humble, down to earth people, and I got to push him. He came over here. I gave him a microphone and stuff. I said, "What do you got?" He said, "I got nothing." I said, "Well, I've got extra equipment." I said, "Go record." I said, "You're too darn good not to be out there," because once again, he has to be pushed. But he's such a good guy, such a funny guy. Be nice if he called back. We'll see.
You are an icon, sir. Any other stories you could tell me right now?
Oh boy, I've got a million stories.
Let's go back to Martin Lawrence. I know you said Martin Lawrence introduced you to Snoop.
Yes, because Martin is from Washington, D.C. Okay. He and his sister used to call me every weekend to play Chapter 8, I Just Want to Be Your Girl. So that I remember, even though I hadn't met him, but he called me every weekend. Then he moves to L.A., he starts the Martin Show. We get in touch. I go out to his place out in the valley, and then he invite me to shows. And the one particular show was right around the holidays, as I mentioned before. And he had some people come up on the stage and party at the end of the taping. And that's where Snoop got involved when I saw him off in the distance. But Martin also jump-started my career because He said, Kevin, would it help if I go on the radio with you? Excuse me. I said, yeah. So we did a show together. He picked out the music. Excuse me. And he's been an ally for a long time. Another guy in person's a little bit shy, believe it or not, but he's so talented. And Snoop had interviewed him a couple years ago on a show called GGN. And they were talking, and he goes, Martin, I love that movie Thin Line. He said, how did that happen? So Martin says, well, I was listening to Kevin James, and Snoop, I didn't think at that point really tied the two of us together. He goes, oh, I was listening to Kevin James, and he was playing the Persuaders' Thin Line between love and hate. I go, he said, that would make a good movie. So he wrote the movie, and that's where Thin Line came from. So every story I tell, then it becomes more and more. During Thin Line, I had to go to the studio, and Roger Troutman of Zapp came to the studio, and Snoop was part of that project, and the LBC crew. But Martin was a little nervous that maybe they wouldn't get along. So I showed up at the studio. Of course, Snoop gets along with everybody, and Roger Troutman was amazing. And Warren G was there and everything, and they got along famously. And I called Martin. I said, it's cool. It's real cool.
Warren G and Zapp and Roger, man. What was that like?
I was amazed at Roger because he told me some stories. If I remember right, he didn't drink or smoke, and told me stories about coming to LA and whatever song it was, More Bounce to the Ounce or whatever. And in mid-flight, he said, I don't want to do this. But he said, I'm already going there, because he wasn't going to promote that, But he ended up in LA, and I don't know the whole story after that, but he was telling me stories like that. He was wonderful. And once again, you're part of history when you don't understand the dynamics of what's going on, So here I am all these years later conveying these experiences.
Right, your life's like a whole bunch of building blocks, story off of story. It just keeps going.
Exactly.
I could pick your brain all day. I don't want to do that, but I don't want to hold you up all night. But I got one question here, one more question. I don't want to hold you up too long. Let me split this screen real quick.
There you go. So there, Snoop, Dre, to the right of Snoop, that's Michelet. In the back there, the head tilted, that is Big Pimpin'. Tashina Arnold on the left there.
That's Pam, right? From Martin's show.
Right. And then F. Gary Gray is in there too. Famous producer.
That is the most legendary picture. Where was this at?
Why do you ask me that? Because I don't remember. I asked people, and I asked Snoop's wife, I said, she had showed me that picture because they did a BET special of something about rap. And that picture was on there. I go, I don't remember that picture. I really don't.
Yeah, so you guys could go to theslowjam.com. This is his website. He has his picture here, and I wanted to close it out with asking him questions about this picture because it's got Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg. He's standing next to Pam from the Martin show. He said Michelet's in here. I actually came across Michelet one day outside of a hotel with the Bishop Don Magic Wand. And he was stunned, like to see the Bishop stunned by somebody. He was like in shock, like he was star stunned. He was like, she didn't know what to say to the lady. He just wanted to shout out from her real quick. It was so funny. And she was like so busy.
Had that little tiny voice, right? Her speaking voice was very.
She still has that voice. She's like, Bishop, Bishop.
Yeah,
See you later, Bishop.
but okay, I got one more story. You got time? Yeah, you got time.
Got
So
time.
when I used to visit my mom in Philadelphia, I had a routine. She lived in Center City. I go visit her. She goes, I know you got to go do record shopping. You got to do this. You got to do that. Got to get your cheesesteak from Pat's. Got to get your sausage sandwich from Gino's. You got to. I said, yeah, but Mom, I'm coming back, and we'll spend time because I spent the night there. And so I went shopping, and a guy, and this is Center City. Well, the first amazing thing was I went to buy my mom a phone because, no, actually, that's another story for another time. Phone story, I'll tell you. But in this particular case, the guy says, Kevin, I got a record that you might want to hear. It sounds like something you would play. So it was extended. What do they call them back in the day? It was just one record, right?
The long version?
Yeah, it wasn't a whole album on there. It was just one song.
Okay.
So I took it back to WKYS. I said, kind of like this. I started playing it. People loved it. That was 1987. That song was Turn Off the Lights by the world-class Wrecking Crew. I didn't know the names on there. I didn't know Lonzo. I didn't know who Dr. Dre was. Michelet was on there. DJ Yella. I didn't know because that was even before NWA. World-class Wrecking Crew. I'm on the East Coast. I have no connection with the West Coast. I moved in 1990. Then not too long after that, at the beat, they started playing it like it was a brand new record. I said, oh, I played that over 3 years ago. So once again, when you listen to it, there's another song on there called Lovers. It's Dr. Dre. I mean, this is before Dre was even known. He was before that. He was doing high school dances in Los Angeles. But that dot connected later, and I go like, that's amazing. So I was the first to play that 3 years before it came out in Los Angeles. Then the story about the telephone, and at some point you have to go. I was at my mom's house, and she said, go see your sister, because she lived in South Philly, not far from where my mom lived, and I could walk over there. And she says, let me call her. And she's squinting at the phone. It's one of those old phones, right? Little thingies, a little button, whatever it was. I said, why are you squinting? She goes, I can't see the numbers. I said, okay. So my friend Skip McCluskey, who was with me, we went shopping. We went to this place in Center City. And back in the day, they had cases where you could buy, bongs or whatever, and then there were like CD players and Sony Walkmans, whatever. There was a phone there, and I walked up, and this is all I said because it had big buttons. I said, "I want that phone right there." The guy behind the counter says, "W balls," and I said, "Excuse me?" He said, "W balls." I said, "I don't understand why are you saying that? You never saw me in your life, and then you say to this guy, W balls, I don't get it." He goes, "Don't F with me. That's you." I said, "It is me." What are the odds of this? When he got out of his car to come to work, he just got on shift. That was the last thing he heard in his car was the Dog Pound album and My Little Skid.
Man, trip out on that.
And all I said was, "I'll take that phone there." But he recognized my voice from the bit.
My son actually drew a picture of us right now. He was watching the whole podcast. He's 14-year-old artist.
Yeah.
He drew a picture. I'm waiting for him to. He wanted to show you real quick.
And put him on.
Yeah, come here, meet Slow Jam and James. drew us on the
Oh my!
podcast, right?
Oh, send that to me. That is amazing.
So I'll probably get it laminated, and I want to get one to you, and then one for me, and if I could get a signed one from you, so I could put it up in the studio here.
Oh, God, he's good.
He's talented, man. This kid. Come say hi to him real quick, Jaron.
What's his name?
His name's Jaron Draws.
Hello.
Hey, Jaron. How you doing? Man.
I'm doing good.
You're good, but you knew that already, right?
From your T-shirt you drew. He draws all kinds of art. He just designed his first T-shirt. It's a whole bunch of cartoons around a West Coast Reactive.
Wow.
14-year-old.
That's amazing. Anything I could do to help you, you're good. I'm going to promote you.
He said anything he could do to help you, he's going to do it.
Nice.
Appreciate that, man. Yeah, that was really cool. He just showed me on the side right there. I said, what the heck? It looks just like us.
That's amazing.
He did that in 1 hour.
Oh.
Well, let me know where you like to eat, man. What's your favorite food in Los Angeles? What do you like to eat right now? What's your favorite restaurant?
Well, because of my Philly background, even though I was born in Western PA, I like cheesesteaks. I like Italian.
Where's a good place to go?
Actually, there's a place I haven't been in many years called Baroni's here in Los Angeles. Barone apostrophe S, Barones. And I think they're out in Sherman Oaks or somewhere like that. Where are you?
I'm right here in the San Gabriel Valley, but I'd like to go pick that up and we'll grub together. I could bring it to you, or we could go over there, whatever you'd like to do.
So we're basically neighbors. You could have come and done the interview right here.
Where are you located?
I'm in Westchester, near
man.
LAX.
Yeah, I could have drove over to you, but I didn't know the situation. I just wanted my fans to see you through all my platforms real quick, because we're on 3 different platforms, streaming on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live.
Well, I'm honored that you picked me to be a subject. Did you say this was your second podcast?
This is my second interview, so I'm getting used to this. And I think I just want to give you your flowers. You are a legend. You deserve every bit of credit that you get, sir.
Well, thank you. And it's compliments and appreciation like that keeps me motivated and keeps me going. Because it hasn't been money. I've never got the financial fruits, but I got all the flowers and fruits beyond that. I couldn't be more blessed than I am.
Right. So we're gonna link up. I'm gonna bring you some of that. What was that? Cabronis?
No, Baroni's, because Barone, Barones with apostrophe S. I think
Right.
that's the. If not,
After this is over, I'm gonna write that down, and I'm gonna get your favorite meal, and we're gonna
it
grub.
might be Valley Village in that area. I haven't been out in the valley in a long time.
I see you got a couple of veterans in here as well. They seen that you were in your service, and they're giving you credit for your service. They said thank you for your service.
Thank you. Yeah, I've had quite the life. There's other stories too. My military service is pretty wild too.
Well, I love your porch reports. You guys stay tuned up on Kevin Slow Jam and James. You can follow him on Instagram. He also has his apps. He said what is it, Sunday? You're on Sunday through Friday now.
Yeah, so the only night I'm not on 4 till 9 p.m. Is Saturday night.
You guys follow and support. I've been only listening to his Kevin Slow Jam app. I love oldies. It takes away my anxiety. I don't listen to anything else. Yeah. I make rap music. I don't want to hear it really. No one's really.
So I just came out with the update on the app. So it's very interactive. You can make requests. You can do shout outs. You can do all kinds of stuff. And once again, it's in the form of files that it's like the best quality music. And I don't make any money off of it. I guess that's my public service announcement, so to speak,
Do you have a Patreon? Do you have a Cash App? Do you have anything that people can donate to you too?
I do have a pound Slow Jam James. Usually PayPal, Slow Jam. Everything is Slow Jam James.
Okay, there you go.
Patreon, I did sign up, and even on doesn't seem like anybody pushes that button.
Well, you hear it. We got to start supporting the OGs, man. These guys have been putting in work for so many years. You know, they deserve every bit that we could give, anything that we could give, because we're listening.
But I really, really appreciate you taking the time to seek me out and do this thing. And it's not like I was going to be outside or, go out playing. I'm doing my show in the background.
We appreciate you, Kevin. Well, with that being said, this is Big Silence of WestCoastReactive.com. That is Kevin Slow Jammin' James, a living legend. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you to all that are tuned in via the different forums. I appreciate that a lot. A whole lot.
Can I get a W balls for the exit?
Okay. Yeah. I forgot to mention the Slow Jam app. Well, not forget it, but also I'm an active member of W Balls 187.4 on your FM dial. And there's only been a couple of announcers on W Balls. Ricky Harris, unfortunately, passed away not long ago. DJ Pooh was on a skit, but pretty much that's it. I'm one of the few people on 187.4 on your FM dial. W Balls.
Peace, you guys.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.